Welcome to the Tech Blog Writer Podcast, your guide to future tech trends and innovation in a language you understand. Now, over to your host, Neil Hughes.
Welcome back to the Tech Blog Writer Podcast. Remember yesterday when I called out a world-famous blogger and podcaster for using generic messages and in DMs that were automated by software? Well, he restored my faith by leaving me a voicemail yesterday. So after 750 interviews, I can safely say that 100% of my encounters have all been positive, and it is always good to meet your heroes. So it was a nice touch, and peace has been resumed in the universe. Now, as someone that writes for a living, I'm known to make more than a few typos. And as I get older, the ideas in my head are much faster than my fingers, which causes even more problems. And when I put my finished thoughts into something like Microsoft Word, and I correct all the mistakes, go through the spell check, and it says everything looks fine, I then run it through Grammarly, and that usually finds a whole heap of other things that it suggests needs tidying up, and also a few other suggestions. Now, obviously, you cannot just click yes, 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 because you'll have something that doesn't make sense. But using your own ideas, your own head, and the suggestions that it brings, it is an essential tool for me. But I suspect that for many people listening, Grammarly will be remembered as one of those ads that they skip when they're waiting for a YouTube video to load. So I invited them on the show today for a number of reasons. One, to educate people exactly what Grammarly is. But more than anything, I wanted to find out exactly what goes on under the hood and how artificial intelligence is being used to improve users' writing. And it's actually helping people to get those ideas out their head and write incredible articles. Because let's face it, we are all content creators now. And I also wanted to find out more about how the anti-plagiarism feature works, along with what kind of writing trends that their data picks up. So buckle up and hold on tight so I can beam your ears all the way to San Francisco so we can speak with technology entrepreneur and co-founder of Grammarly, Max Litvin. So a massive warm welcome to the show, Max. Can you just set the scene a little and tell the listeners exactly what Grammarly is and what your role is at the company?
Sure, thank you for having me. Grammarly is an AI-powered writing assistant that helps make any writing, any written communication clear, effective, and error-free wherever you write. As our name implies, we started by providing grammar and spelling advice first, but now Grammarly is so much more than that. It provides feedback on multiple issues with communication, such as wordness, vagueness, hedging language, word choice, non-inclusive language, sentence structure, and helps writers or just users in general optimize their communication to be easy to understood and clear. So we have a product that's suitable for pretty much every writing or communication scenario. It doesn't have to be a long document. It can be even a text message where Grammarly can contribute to more effective communication. And we realize that communication happens wherever users need to communicate. It doesn't necessarily happen in one place. So Grammarly is integrated with all major web applications through our browser extension. And we're also integrated with Microsoft Office and mobile devices via Grammarly keyboard on both iOS and Android. And my role in the company is co-founder and head of growth strategy. So essentially my job is to identify new market opportunities and design strategies to address those opportunities.
Now, as someone that makes a living through writing, obviously I know Grammarly inside out. It follows me absolutely everywhere. And I even get an email from you guys, I don't know if it's once a week or once a month, telling me that I'm in the, I use the service more than 99% of the users, so I must be in your top list of users somewhere. But for people that are just tuning in and hearing about it for the first time, or maybe they've seen an advert for it, but not knowing exactly what it is and what it does, I'd love to know more about how Grammarly works under the hood. So can you tell me a little bit more about how it uses artificial intelligence to improve a user's writing?
Oh, definitely. So Grammarly uses a combination of technologies to go through text and identify areas that can be improved. Not necessarily something that's wrong, but something that just can be said or written better. And human communication is very complex. It's a very complex process, so and no single technology now can solve it or can kind of capture all the areas where writers may need help. So we use a combination of technologies from rules to artificial intelligence techniques that include machine learning, natural language processing, deep learning, and so on. So it is a mix of technologies. We pick whichever is the best for a specific case and use that. And one thing that's important about artificial intelligence is that it is learning. It's learning based on data that's fed to it. And in our case, we carefully curate the data that gets into our system so that, as they say, garbage in, garbage out, so that it doesn't happen, so that the Grammarly doesn't pick up bad habits that people sometimes exhibit while communicating on the internet, for example. But we rely on a team of linguists and language and communication experts to curate things that go into the AI training process.
One of the things that I love about it is obviously if I write an article or a blog post and I'll put in Microsoft Word, and by all accounts it looks absolutely perfect, but then I put it through Grammarly and it will make 101 suggestions or areas for improvement, and it's up to me to decipher what will work and what will not work within that. So it's incredibly helpful. But another feature that a lot of people rely on, including myself, is anti-plagiarism features too. And in a world where everybody is a content creator and we're all influenced by everything that we see around us, I think that's so important now. I mean, is that something that you're finding that's becoming increasingly important to users?
Yeah, plagiarism detection feature was a part of our premium version of our product since the very beginning. And it is important for professional writers and students. It's not made for policing of plagiarism, but it's made for self-check to make sure that something unintentionally doesn't go uncited. But I think the biggest help Grammarly provides with reducing plagiarism is making it easier to put your original thoughts in writing. When my co-founder and I ran our previous business, which was focused solely on plagiarism detection, we often had questions: why people plagiarize in the first place? And we obviously asked people who we interacted with, our users of our product, and the biggest reason was that it is so incredibly difficult to take your thoughts and put them on paper, or put them in an electronic document in a way that's understandable to others, that's clear, and that's not misinterpreted. And that's why we decided to make Grammarly, and that's what Grammarly does. It helps writer or any user put their thoughts into words that aren't easily interpreted by a reader the way that the writer intended.
Now, like I said a few moments ago, I do receive emails from Grammarly telling me my stats and things that common mistakes that I make, or improvements that I could make, and how many unique words I use. But I recently saw your email writing trends guide and how many people are guilty of making the same email cliches. I mean, can you talk about those email cliches, and also, are there any other email writing trends that you observed last year?
Definitely. So one of the biggest trends we're seeing, and not just this year, but continuously, is emails are increasingly getting shorter. So brevity is a major trend. And there's several reasons for this. One is that people just communicate more. We send more emails, we send more text messages, and we have less time to write or read each message. So we have to make those messages shorter just because of lack of time. But also, more and more communication is moving to mobile devices, where typing is not as convenient and reading is not as convenient. So that results in shorter messages as well. And one advice I would give related to that is, when you're writing an email, even if you're writing it in comfort of your desktop and large convenient keyboard, you still want to make it short, because there is a high probability that somebody receiving this email is going to read it on a mobile device, or maybe even listen to it when it's in their headphones, when it's dictated to them. So keep that in mind when you're writing email. Keep your emails to 3-5 lines at most. So another trend that we're seeing is increasing use of hedging language. Words and phrases like, oh, I think we should, or it would be great if we could. And sometimes there is a room for those phrases. Sometimes they play a useful role, but they've been increasingly overused. And that results in longer messages. and messages that are less clear. Kind of my advice in connection to that would be just try to avoid them, try to think if it's really necessary to soften the presentation, or if you're just stating something that doesn't require any hedging. But ultimately, I think we shouldn't be too worried about trends in communication, because language evolves at the pace we as people accept its evolution. We own the language, we change it, and it's not going to blindside us by some drastic changes. So there's small trends that are happening in parallel. For example, as more communication shifts to writing, people try to replace the lost body language and nonverbal part of communication with some rich media like emojis and animation, GIFs, even videos. And that's going to continue. That's going to become part of more formal communication in the future, I think. But there is nothing drastic or scary about that.
And another thing that really stood out for me recently was I read a story where I think Grammarly launched a public bug bounty program with HackerOne. Can you tell me why you guys are excited about that feature and also the story behind that?
Yes. So HackerOne program is focused on improving product security. It is essentially a program where ethical hackers can look for vulnerabilities in the product and then warn the company making the product about those vulnerabilities before anybody has a chance to exploit them. So this is a very good way to increase security and reliability of products, attacking them from different angles. At Grammarly, security is our number one feature. Our users rely on us for their daily communication, and we value privacy of this communication tremendously. We value security of user data tremendously, and we invest heavily into protecting the security. We have an in-house team of security experts, but to make it even more robust, to provide extra level of scrutiny to our product, we've been working with HackerOne for 1 year now in a public bug bounty program, where a pre-selected group of ethical hackers look for vulnerabilities, potential vulnerabilities in our product. And this program has been incredibly successful for us. We recruited nearly 1,500 participants into that program. So once we saw the success of that private bug bounty program, we expanded it. Grammarly expanded it to make it public. So now anybody can join this program and look for potential vulnerabilities in Grammarly and help us make our product safer for our users.
Now, as someone that writes for a living, I'm going to nervously ask you a question now and ask you to look into your crystal ball. Do you think AI-powered tools will eventually replace writers, or do you think it's more about just assisting them?
I definitely think it's more about assisting them. I like to use an analogy of accountants or engineers and spreadsheets. Spreadsheets didn't replace them. Spreadsheets made them more productive, allowed them to focus more on subject matter, to focus more on their areas of expertise rather than mechanics of what they do. Same with AI-powered writing tools. They would allow and already start allowing writers to focus on creative aspects, to focus on subject matter, and think less and spend less time on the mechanics of putting words into a document. And it's also important to keep in mind that most people benefiting from AI-powered writing support tools like Grammarly are not necessarily professional writers. They might be knowledge workers, they might be marketers, customer support representatives, salespeople, and writing is not a full-time job for them. It is an important, crucial part of their job. They communicate with their coworkers, they communicate with clients, they need to write a lot of emails and documents, and Grammarly can help make that more productive and more effective without even trying to replace them in their job in any way, just making them more effective and productive.
Fantastic. Well, continuing to look towards the future, I mean, what's next for Grammarly and what are your big goals for the 2019 and beyond?
So in 2019, we're going to expand on our work on clarity and effectiveness of writing and communication in general. And this means adding more intelligence to our product to help people say what they mean and be understood the way they want to be understood, and accomplish the goals of their communication more effectively. So whenever we set out to write something, be it a message or a document, we have some goals in mind. It may be to tell a story or to give instructions or to ask for something. And we may want this message to be encouraging or funny or just easy to remember. And all these goals are important to us as communicators, and Grammarly can help you polish up the message to be more successful in accomplishing the goals. For example, when you write an email with lots of important information, you can just go at your pace and then the structure that's more convenient for your thinking to work, and just put your thoughts in the document. But then that email may end up being too long or repetitive or redundant, or may have sentences that require reader taking a pause and thinking how to interpret that. And Grammarly can help repackage that in a tighter format that's easier for a reader to digest. And it's still your document, it's still your thoughts, it's still your expertise and your creativity. It's just repackaged in a way that's easier and more efficient for a reader. So that's our goal for 2019. Another front that we're actively working on is making our product better, more suitable for business needs. We noticed that significant portion of our users use Grammarly actively for work. And to lean into that, to make Grammarly even more suitable for business use, we're working on business-specific features and team-specific features that help teams be more cohesive, communicate together more effectively, and just simply distribute Grammarly to more people easily, to more people within an organization easily.
Well, a huge thank you for joining me today. But before I do let you go, just for people that are tuning in and hearing about Grammarly for the first time, can you just remind them of where they can find you guys online, and also contact a member of your team if they've got any questions at all after our conversation today?
Definitely. You can find us online at Grammarly.com, and it's spelled with a double M and two A's in the middle. Or you can find us on Twitter. Also, the handle is Grammarly. You can install any of our products with just press of the button. We do have a free version of the product that provides quite a lot of useful functionality, and we do have a premium product that's more suitable for professional users.
There's so much I love about Grammarly. Like I say, I am biased because I use it every day myself. But what I love is language is continuously evolving and communication is continuously evolving. But Grammarly seems to evolve with that and follow those trends. I think it's a fantastic thing. It's a tool I will be continuing to use, and I must admit I'd be lost without it. But more than anything, it's been great to speak with you today and hear what goes under the hood and the role of artificial intelligence in that. So a big thank you for joining me today.
Thank you for having me. It was a pleasure.
I must admit, I'm guilty of pulling up startups and Fortune 500 companies for exaggerating the capabilities of artificial intelligence in its current form. I mean, it's got so much potential, but what it's capable of now is often exaggerated. But on the flip side of that, there is also a reality that there are many great examples of AI in action right now. And the amazing ways that Grammarly uses artificial intelligence to improve your writing is incredible. And equally, Netflix, Uber, Spotify and Amazon all use complex technologies, but we never get to see what goes on under the hood, and we just take it for granted that it will work. So let me know your thoughts about Grammarly, about today's conversation, artificial intelligence, or indeed anything at all. Remember, you can contact me by emailing me, techblogwriter@outlook.com, grab me on Twitter @NeilC.Hughes. And I also promise to post a few wacky pics of yours truly on the brand new Instagram page for this show, which is also @NeilC.Hughes. In 10 days since I opened that account, I think we've just hit 110 followers, so you're slowly coming over. And true to my word, when 1,000 of you make it over, I might even give you a behind-the-scenes tour of how I record my show every day. But as we race towards the end of January and my first trip to the USA, where I'm going to be covering the GPEC event in Arizona, I'm going to take my foot off the gas and take it easy this weekend and enjoy some good old-fashioned R&R. and I urge you to do the same. So a big thank you for listening and joining me for another great week where we've spoken some big names on this show, such as SAP and Grammarly today, just chatting the breeze. Shall we do it all again next week? Whew, I'm relieved you said that. Have a great weekend. Thanks for listening. And until next time, don't be a stranger.
Thanks for listening to the Tech Blog Writer Podcast. Until next time, remember, technology is best when it brings people together.